All right, my name is Rich Schmidt. I'm here with Jose Lopez. We're at Results Partners in McMinnville. It's February 8th, 2021. Jose, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate this.
Very nice to meet you, Rich. It's my pleasure.
First question for you, why grapes? Why viticulture?
It's really good question. Viticulture, it's agriculture. My background, from where I come from, it's all agriculture. So coming to the States, it's the first thing that I wanted to do because I already knew how to do it. And by pure accident, I ended up on the vineyard grape growing industry. My first job was Christmas trees. And then after the season was over, it was nothing out there to be done on Christmas trees. It's the end of the year. And so fortunately, it's the beginning of the season for the grapes, pruning time. And so I was lucky to come across with an opportunity to work in the grape growing industry. And that's how everything started.
You mentioned growing up. Tell me about growing up and where you grew up and what brought you to the U.S.
This takes us back to 1993. I grew up in the state of Guanajuato, little village called Monte de Hoyos, municipio de Romita, Guanajuato. Basically just a little village. And our nearest town was Romita, Guanajuato. It was just a dream. I'm the oldest of my family, and so I just wanted to help mom and dad with the rest of my brothers. I was very young when the idea of helping came to me. I was only 13, and I had a couple of friends. They came to the United States, older than me, but down in Mexico, we used to work harvesting potatoes, and I was younger than my friends, but I always I wasn't afraid of the work that we were doing, harvesting potatoes, and I could beat them during the season of the potato harvesting. I could beat them at work. And so when they came to the United States, on my head, I'm like, if I beat them to work here and they gone to the United States, I can probably do the same thing over there. So this idea of coming to the United States started getting on me. And of course, when I asked my dad, he's like, "You're too young. There's no way. I won't let you go to the United States. You're too young." And so my reasons was, Dad, if I'm a better worker than my friends here, they gone to the United States, they're back, I can probably do the same thing. So 1 year went by, and he kept saying no. I didn't give up because I knew I could do it. If they did it, I knew I could do it. So I remember that he asked me, well, if you find somebody that it's willing to take care of you, I might think about it. That was all I needed, to go find somebody that was willing to bring me to the United States. Luckily, my cousin who is I always see him like one of my oldest brothers. He also works in this industry. His name is Pablo Olmedo. He was basically my babysit. He babysit me the entire time, and thanks to him, I made it all the way here. And I did what I wanted to do. I wanted to help my dad. I wanted to help my brothers, and I did. I did, and thanks to this beautiful industry that I'm part of it now. Ever since I've been working on this, and I don't have plans of going nowhere. So it's been I had its ups and downs. When I first started working on this industry, it wasn't easy to get a chance. It was really hard. It was really hard because we didn't have all these opportunities. We didn't have all these people that wanted to give opportunities to people. And I knew that I wanted to do something different. But I didn't knew how long it was going to take me. So it was hard, but it's been worth. It's been worth.
So why did you come to Oregon specifically, and what was your first impression of Oregon?
on This is fun. On my ignorance, when I knew I wanted to come, I had a couple uncles here. When they went back to our village, all they talked about was Oregon, right? And I'm like, Oregon it is. Oregon it is. Plus, my cousin had a couple brothers here, which our next stop was Oregon. So it was just Oregon since day one. And when I got here, I had invitations to go back to California, to go to all of the states, but I ended up staying here. Some of my friends went to California, some of my friends went to Idaho, but I ended up staying here. Like I said, as soon as I started working on the grape growing industry, it was basically a year, kind of a full-time job from January all the way to December. So in reality, I had no desire to go nowhere else because I knew I had a job. And all I needed to do was to really get my job done, to be able to keep my job entire year. So I had no reason to go nowhere else, and ended up staying here. 27 years later, we're here still. Yeah. So Oregon, until today, no plans to go nowhere.
You mentioned you'd heard about Oregon from uncles. How did it compare to what you expected?
I thought it was going to be nothing but big big places where packing stores, packing this, packing that. I never expected that it was going to be agriculture. I thought I wasn't going to see dirt anymore, but I was totally wrong. And I was so happy that I saw dirt and that I was able to get my hands full of mud and be exposed to the elements, the weather. So it was totally different than what I had on my head. To find out that it's beautiful. And so I liked it. Some of my friends that we were talking about it, they left because of the rain season. They thought it was just too much rain. And yes, it is, but you get used to it. Get your raincoat, your boots, and you're good to go.
So you talked about how viticulture specifically was an accident, just a kind of a happenstance of timing. You obviously had an agricultural background at that point. Was there anything you needed to know was there anything different about vineyard work or grape work that you didn't already know?
No, I think I was hungry of learning new things. I think I was hungry of doing something different than some of my relatives. Some of my relatives have been here for a long time, and yeah, they had their jobs. They have their daily jobs. But I wanted to do something different. I wanted to be able to grow. I wanted to be able to have more responsibilities. I wasn't afraid of more responsibilities. I have to admit that with the limitations that I had, I didn't speak a word in English. I didn't write a word in English. It's a different culture. I'm away from my parents. It's a lot of things that can hold you back. But I knew I wanted to do something different. I still remember that one day on the middle of the rain, we were pulling brush up on one of the blocks where we were working at the time. And there's a group of people that they've been there for a longer time than me. And we started the conversation, somebody started the conversation, what are you gonna do in 5 years? And all of them said, well, we're gonna be here, what are we going? We're gonna be pulling brush, we've been working here for a long time already. And so when they asked me the same question, I told them, 5 years from now, I want to have a place where I can make the calls. I want to be the guy that gives the instructions on how to do the things. Everybody looked at me and they laughed about me. And I still remember, like if it was yesterday, they told me, oh, you're not going to go nowhere. You're going to be doing the same thing that we're doing here for years and years. And I knew I wasn't. Because I was looking for it. I consider myself that I've been so lucky that I've worked with people that I've earned their trust. And that's a huge word. And I think a lot of us can do that, but we choose not to for whatever reason. And so 4 years later, I managed the place along with somebody else. There was two of us. We managed the place and managed all my core workers. 1 year before the 5 years that I said I was going to. But I worked really hard. I had to go to school. I had to pick up English. I had to, it was long nights, long days. It hasn't been easy. It wasn't easy. Then I think things changed with our industry. more opportunities became available for more people, and I think it's a little bit different than 20 some years ago.
What was the most difficult part of the transition for you? Was it the language barrier? Was it the homesick? What was the hardest thing about being in Oregon, and what did you have to work the hardest to kind of overcome?
The hardest, I think, was the language barrier. I used to be, I always laughed about this. There's a line where if you want to do it and set yourself to do it, you're gonna do it. But there's a fine line. I remember I joke about this, but it's so true. When I was picking up a little bit of English, I remember I was at the store, and you know how there's people stacking the aisles and making sure there's things. I remember that that person approached me to ask me if I needed help with anything. At that time, I didn't understand. And so as soon as I saw him coming to me, like, I turned around and walked away because I was afraid. I was afraid, and ever since I figured out what he wanted to tell me, every time that I had a chance, I went back to any store and asked for help to find anything, stuff that I wasn't looking for, but I wanted to exercise. And as soon as I start getting a little bit more confidence about myself, repeating the same word and saying it wrong for multiple times and saying it wrong again and catching it right the next time, that's when I broke that line. It was much easier. Much easier. So that, I think that was one of the biggest one. The other one is, being away from mom and dad all these years at a really young age. It was hard too, but I think learning the language and being able to communicate was a lot of help. I felt like you get more doors that open for you, and with that, you got to keep your feet in the ground and help more people. Not necessarily that the things that work for me will work for somebody else, but if I can coach them, tell them, hey, do this, I'm always in favor of that. And if I can awake something on a person that is kind of holding back because doesn't know how to do it, I will be in favor of doing it time after time.
You mentioned going to classes as well. Tell me about that experience for you.
Yeah. I went to multiple classes of viticulture.
Is that through Chemeketa?
Through Chemeketa, yeah. When I fell in love with this grape growing, when it became a passion, I knew I needed to go and inform myself more about what really affected wine and stuff like that. So for me, it was really important, and that's I remember that I used to finish my workday and just run to Chemeketa. At that time, I was working on the Yam Hill area, so I had to drive all the way to Chemeketa, and it was. So I didn't see my wife and my kid until late hours in the night. And coming home, I still had to do homework. And so I'm on the table, right? And multiple times I passed on the table because I wanted to make sure that I was taking serious my classes. And so that was probably a hard part that not a lot of people knows about it. And sometimes people think that this is just it's like a walk in the park. It's not. It's some sacrifices that needs to be made, and I was happy to do it, and it's been working really nice.
So tell me about your first time working in the vineyard here. You mentioned post-Christmas trees. You kind of fall into the vineyard work. Tell me about the first place you were working in, and kind of your first impressions of the work itself and of the industry itself.
It was, it was a beautiful experience because it's on the Dundee Hills, 1996. Dundee Hills, we're pulling brush. My back then I was a friend, but now he's my uncle. He's married to my aunt. Back then, I asked him multiple times when I was laid out from the Christmas trees. Hey, you sure ask your boss if you guys need more people. I'm not doing anything. And I remember he told me once, "Oh, I've taken people before and they quit. I don't feel like taking any more people." And I'm like, "Come on, this is gonna be different. I promise you that I won't leave. I will stick around." But the third time that I told him, he's like, "Well, can you go see my boss?" And I'm like, "Oh, sure, I'm gonna go see your boss." His boss at that time was Alan Holston, which I feel so lucky that I had a chance to work with him. I remember stepping into the office and told him that I was there for an interview about work, and he looked at me. Goes, "You want to work on the grapes?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do." "Well, when can you start?" "Well, today." And he looked at how I was dressed. I was wearing tennis shoes because I wasn't sure if I was gonna get a job, and so but I was ready to go. It's cold, wet, but I was ready to go on tennis. And so he's like, you should go buy some boots." And so I started the next day, and ever since I've been working on this industry. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that was my first opportunity to get into the grape growing industry, and I just liked it. I just liked it. And I showed my friend that I mean it when I told him that I was going to stick around. I did.
Which vineyard was that?
That was a vineyard named Knudsen. That was when I first started working with Alan Holston. And the name of the company back then, it was the Argyle company. Worked there for several years. Then they started, they were like a management company as well. And I worked multiple sites with them. But then they were starting the Stoller family vineyard. And so during that year, I was on multiple sites, but most of the time I was spent at the Stoller vineyard. And then some happened, since I was spending most of my time at Stoller vineyard, there was a time where I was hired to work directly with the Stoller family, and I did. Then I spent about 11 years working with them. Great family. Bill Stoller was a great guy. Kathy was great. I used to live at the property. Very nice people, very nice family. So that's when I started raising my hand for more opportunities. That's what I realized that if I wanted to do something different, I had to raise my hand. And multiple times I asked for the chance, and I never gave up when I wasn't given one. I was determined that I was gonna find the chance, and I did. I remember that I wanted to operate a tractor so bad, just to show at that time the manager was Jaime Cantu, a great guy too. Give me a chance. I really wanna learn how to drive a tractor. But he always had his team, and so it was not possible. But one time, one of the operators didn't show up on a Monday, and Jaime asked me, "So you want to do it?" I'm like, well, I've been wanting to do it forever. Sure, I would just want to do it. And so jump in the tractor, and he showed me what I was going to be doing. I was spraying. I was happy as can be. I mean, it was like a kid on a candy store. Happy as can be. But the thing is, it only lasted one day, because the next day the real operator came in, and so I went back to the crew. It was a great experience. I knew that there was going to be a chance. When? I wasn't sure. And just because he gave me a chance, and then the next day he took me off the tractor, that didn't make me mad at all. That didn't make me mad. I was happy because I was able to show him for that day that I was capable of doing it. Weeks went by. I kept asking, "Hey, Jaime, when are you going to give me another chance?" And then the second time that operator didn't show up, I had another chance. And I think Jaime realized that I was hungry of learning. And he gave me the chance. But the operator came back, and so he got his job back. But then Jaime decided to put me on an ATV to spray herbicide. And that was the beginning of this climbing. And I've been really happy. Like I say, I've been working and encountering myself with great people. It took me, I had to raise my hand multiple times. I had to ask multiple times. But once we got going, I think everybody figured out that I must have had something to offer that it worked. And then for every responsibility that I was earning, I was doing this with more passion. I felt like I had nowhere to go because I had to keep going. Leaving the Stoller family wasn't an easy decision, but I had something on mind, and I came as far as I could at their property. And I thought about it multiple times. I was happy there. But I had that little bug already going, and I really wanted to do it before losing time. I wanted to be able to tell someone that I tried and did it. I wanted to be able to say, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it, but I knew I wanted to try. And the thing that I didn't want it was just kind of lay back and not do it. I wanted to felt, I wanted to see if I had it or not. And it was a hard decision because I had everything there. Great family. I could work as many hours I wanted to. I was living on the property. I mean, you name it. It was a very difficult decision. It was a very difficult decision, but it was. Today, I can tell you that was worth it. So I'm happy for my. Yeah. After Stoller, I went to Willa Kinsey. At Willa Kinsey, I spent 5 years. Was really funny because I always told this story. On that year, I knew I wanted to keep growing. So I came to the store, to the OBS store, and saw on the board car with John posting at Willa Kinsey. We were looking for an assistant at that time. And I called, and Daniel Fay, who was the manager, it's on the other side of the phone, right? And he's like, well, sorry, but we just hired the assistant, so I need to call OBS to have them to take down the ad. And we kept talking. He asked me what I knew about the vineyard and vineyard work, and I told him that I could do all of these things that I've done in the vineyard before, and that was it. I remember he said, well, I'm going to think about it, and I'll give you a call. And there I thought, chance went away. And I was telling myself, it's probably good. This is probably something that I need to get off my head. I don't know if a week later he called me and we kept talking. And he asked me if I wanted to join. They had a property on the Dundee Hills, Willakenzie. And so he kind of mentioned maybe we can work out something where you could be at the vineyard. And it sounded really interesting. So I took it. I told him, yeah, sure. He was a really good decision. I learned a lot of things with him. One is that you have to be clear. There's no going around. You have to be clear. You have to have goals in a direction. And spent 4 years with him. It was really nice 4 years. Really nice 4 years. He's a great guy. Yeah.
Bit of foreshadowing, I guess, best because you're still working with him. I'm curious, at Stoller and in that job, what were your responsibilities? What did your job entail?
First, it was just general labor, everything from pruning to pulling brush and tying, all of it, except any equipment. And it wasn't until the first chances that Jaime gave me the tractor. Then from general labor, I was the herbicide applicator. Then along that line, I was in the shop servicing the equipment. So I kind of went from general labor to shop servicing equipment, to train new operators, to try every new piece of equipment that was brought into the property to make sure that it worked. It changed. It changed. But I, while being a stoller, I remember seeing Jaime and Alan Holston walking on the roads when it was time to do your crop estimates, and I always wanted to know more. And so that was another thing that I wanted to do. And I wasn't able to there. So when I decided that I wanted to learn that as well, that's when I knew that I needed to do classes, viticulture classes. But I wasn't going to be doing it there because somebody else was doing it. And so then I went to Willakenzie, and that's when I got more exposure to that as well. So picked up a little bit more while going to school and while working with Daniel, learning how to do it. And there was a friend of mine. His name is Baribek. He started a management company as well. The name of the company is Untitled Vineyard Systems. Great guy. He wanted me to work with him. He asked me multiple times while I was a stoller, while I was a Willikinson. So I knew that was the next step, to go out and really do it myself and see if I was able to do it, right? So I was happy as can be a stoller. Went to Willikinson. I was happy as can be at Willikinson. Great owners, nice people. But I knew I had something else that I needed to achieve. So it was another hard decision. When it was pure accident because on the 4th year, when I was part of the management team at Willikinson, I should have stayed there. It was a really nice company, nice people. Everything there, one spot. Well, 2 vineyards, basically the Yam Hill side and the Dundee side, but that was it. But no, I wanted to do more. And on that year that I was part of the management team, came across with Buddy Beck, and he asked me again, "Hey, how you doing? When are you gonna be ready to come and work for me?" I'm like, "Buddy, don't start joking, buddy, because I'll take your word." He's like, "Well, I'm ready for you." And I thought about it. It went on my head. I'm like, this is a chance that I've been looking for all this time. Talked to my wife multiple times. And that's when I was just barely picking up more English. And I thought about dealing with clients. What if I'm not able to? What if I screwed up? What if this goes wrong? What if this goes bad? And so I decided, well, I won't know until I get into it. So I called Buddy and told him, we should, if you're serious about it, we should meet. And we did. We met. And we agree on something. It was so hard to make another resignation letter. So hard. I'm not the kind of people that is 2 months here, 3 months there, year here, year there. But it was my dream. It was my dream, and I really wanted to go to the next level and see if I really learned something over the past multiple years. Mm-hmm. And I took the opportunity with Buddy Beck and went to work for Advanced Vineyard Systems. At Advanced Vineyard Systems, I spent another 5 years. 5 years and 5 years. It wasn't intentionally. It was that I was just waiting for the time, and I thought that at that time the proper time had come, mm-hmm. and I just thought it was time. And so it was so hard to let Bernie McCurt know that I'm happy here, but this is my dream. I remember he asked me, why are you leaving? You need more money? And to be honest with you, this is something that I learned ever since I started working on this industry. Who doesn't need money? We all need money. But I believe that if you're given an opportunity, all you have to do is grab it, work hard on it, and whatever it is that you're doing, you just have to do it. You just have to go out there and do it. And with all of these actions, with all the work that you do, if you do it right, that's gonna come. The money part will come. How much? I don't know. How much is right? I don't know. But I think all you have to do is grab the opportunity and go to work. I'm a firm believer that it's a way to make it somewhere. And so I told him, no, I'm happy. I'm happy. In fact, I joined ABS and made less money than what I was making over the kids. I knew that I was given a chance that I was looking for. I knew that if I go to work, it was going to be the same, not too far from the starting time. And I wasn't wrong. That's when I have to admit, until today, when I remember that, my legs were shaking because I didn't knew much English. That's when I really got serious on it. I remember the first time that I went to meet with the first client. I mean, my boss was shaking, I was shaking, and on the back of my head, it's like, what if I don't do a good job? What if I don't make it? And I remember I went back to being a store, and I'm like, if I don't make it here, I was good at store. If I don't make it here, why did I leave Willa Kinsey? But I knew I needed to give it a shot. I needed to know for myself. I wanted to have the feeling of trying it. If I made it, good. If I didn't, I tried it. I made it as far as I wanted to make it. And it worked. Luckily, it worked. I think I've been lucky and extremely lucky. More than lucky. But I also know that I'm a really hard person to quit. When I set goals, yeah, it's really hard to quit. So spent 5 years with Mari. I practiced more viticulture stuff there because I was working on multiple sites, multiple vineyards, multiple size vineyards, small vineyards, medium vineyards, large vineyards. But every vineyard was treated the same. For every vineyard that I was part of it, was treated the same. I had the same care. Then had a chance to work with more equipment, make my own decisions, make my plan, make my own crews. and it started to work, and it started to work, and 5 years later, I thought it was time to retire from grapes. Because I did what I wanted to do. So I'm like, I gotta go do something else. And so I set out myself to be a handyman. Started prepping myself, buying a bunch of tools, reading books for licenses, because so many licenses that you have to get if you want to become a handyman. So I had a pile of books and reading through books, and just when I was starting to file paperwork, phone call came in, and it was a different management company that was looking for me. Somebody had given my number, and they told me who they were. And I'm like, huh? What? How you got my number? I hope it's good with you. I remember he said, I hope it's good with you. Somebody gave me your number, and we would like to talk to you. And I'm like, talk to me? Yeah, we're looking for someone like you. I'm like, but I don't work in grapes anymore. Are you taking vacations? And I'm like, no, well, yeah, kind of. So talked to him for a couple of minutes, and came up, and I called my wife right away, right? Like, honey, you won't believe what just happened right now. Somebody from this company called me that they're looking for a person like me to manage vineyards for them, but I'm not looking for vineyard work. And I asked her, what should I do? And she's like, well, you've done it for all this time. You should go. You have nothing to lose. I know you want to do your thing, but I mean, you've done it forever. Mm-hmm. Why don't you just take a moment and go meet him? If they are looking for you, just set up a time, and if you decide not to, just make them feel like you're not ignoring them, and the industry is, you never know. And I'm like, you're right. You're right. So call him back, set up an appointment. We met and talked about it. His offer was great, good, but I wasn't looking for grapes. I liked him a lot, but I really wanted to do my thing. And so we met, and I told him, oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate you looking for me, but I'm working on a new project, and no thanks. A week later, another management company called me. And the same thing, exactly the same thing. I called my wife and told her, honey, this is crazy. This is the second company that calls me to offer me a job. And well, she told me the same thing. Go see them. You have nothing to lose. Go see them. The offer was even better. I'm like, shit. But after thinking about it, I said no. A couple of weeks went by, and I left to Mexico. And I was in Mexico when Daniel Fay called me. And back on the little village, you don't have phone service until you go to the city. And so it took me a couple of days to go back to the city because you don't go every day. And so we went back to the city, and my phone rang that I had a voicemail. And it was Daniel Fay, and he left me a voicemail saying that he was looking for me, and he was interested on talking to me. But I don't think he was specific on that voicemail. And so I called him back. And while I was in the city, and we talked for a few minutes, and he told me that he had an opportunity. And I told him that I wasn't in town, that I was away, that I'll call him back when I'm back in town. And then I got back in town. It took, 2-3 weeks. And I think Daniel was ready to have somebody to fill up the opening. And as soon as I get back, he must have called me when I was on the airplane or something. But I had another voicemail. And as soon as I got back, called him back and met with him. Prior to meet with him, I talked to my wife again, right? And so I this is kind of funny because I told her this is probably a sign that I need to keep doing what I was doing. It's the third company. And she's like looking at me, she's like, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think I could have jumped into the first one. I could have jumped into the second one. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. But when Daniel called me, when we sat down and talked about it, it was a different thing because I knew Daniel. And I knew that if I came to work with him, it was going to be great. Mm-hmm. I wasn't wrong at all. It's been this is my 6th year, so no more 5s. This is my 6th year here, and ever since I've been happy as can be. Mm-hmm. I have to admit that right now I'm taking care of twice as much acreages than what I did under ABS Advanced Vineyard Systems, but it doesn't feel. There's a group of people. There's a lot of support. It's again another great decision I made to join RP. And RP has allowed me the chance to help others. And so I think here I've made more impact on people than before. Mm-hmm. It's because they have given me the tools. They have given me the trust, and I think I keep being lucky because I keep encountering myself with great people. Mm-hmm. The team here, it's a great team. I get to work with every senior manager. With some of them more, with some of them less. I get to work with Evan Lillinger, I get to work with a little bit with Alex Cabrera. I get to work with Luke Pilati. I get to work with Lee and with Daniel. So I get to work with the 5 of them. And it's been an awesome experience.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
Describe your role here for what you're doing here, and I'm curious about, you mentioned the acreage, all the different vineyards you're in charge of. Tell me about managing that scale of vineyard with all the different people involved, all the different vineyard owners and all that involved. How do you manage that kind of scale of vineyards, and what is your kind of day-to-day, week-to-week role?
my role here is I'm in charge of just under 600, 575 acres, 575 acres, 31 properties in total. And it goes from the largest one to it's 95 acres, and the smallest one is 2 acres. And so I'm in charge on the day-to-day operations. Everything, people, equipment. I get to hire my own people. I get to build my own crews. I get to not only hire the contract people that comes in for the season, but also to select the full-timers, the tractor operators. I need to report to my manager, my senior managers. This is when it might sound really complicated because there's 31 sites in different sizes. Yes, it's kind of scary because every single vineyard it's run on a budget. On a budget, so you have to be really careful on a daily. You cannot just sit back and relax. You have to be on top of it, and gotta be able to figure it out. Gotta be able to teach you guys how to figure it out when we're going good, when we need to change it. Again, expectations. If you are clear with the expectations, with the rest of your crew, everybody knows where you're going. Everybody knows where we all together need to be at. If that is not clear, then you got people going left and right and all over the places. So first is a clear direction. Where we want to be, and treat everybody as a part of the crew. Nobody is different. The contract people that comes in for a couple of months, the full-timer people, we are all the same. Nobody is different here. Everybody receives the same treatment, and so everybody, it's all one group. The people that has more time, the people that is brand new, everybody is the same, and everybody gets the same message. We can joke, we can laugh, we can sing, we can whatever we want to do, but as long as we get the job done. And so when you have a clear direction, everybody follows that, and we get the job done. I report with my managers. I need to be ready for any questions that they might have about progress, about how much people is there, about any changes. So I'm in charge of executing when the bid department gives us things that we need to do. I'm in charge of executing it. Basically, everything and anything that goes on, I get to deal with some of the clients directly, in a good number of them, with my senior supervisor. But they have allowed me to have direct connection with them. It's just it's me. It's been really nice. Every day I come up with a plan for the next day, and I usually, what I told them is that I'm usually prepped for after 5 days. I know where we're going to be in 5 days, but daily we do kind of a schedule, so they know where we are, what kind of progress we're doing, and we're planning. We're planning ahead. When are we going to be done with tasks that we're doing? How much more people we need? Do we have enough? All that kind of stuff. Anything that is involved in there. Some decisions I get to make, of course, consulting with the senior supervisors. Some other decisions I ask them prior to the time that we need them, just so we're ready to go when we show up to the site. Instead of showing to the site and not knowing what to do. So it's really important. Communication on this kind of work that we do. Communication, it's one of the number one type of things that it has to be in there. You have to communicate with multiple layers: admin, managers, owners, crews. It's really important for everything to be done properly. Yeah.
So when a winery or a vineyard client hires results partners to run their vineyard, how much of the decision making at that point is yours or the team here, and how much does the client have to say at that point? How much are they kind of ceding over to you to make decisions?
That depends. There's some owners that they are really into it, and so a lot of times they make a lot of calls. There's owners that they want a company who takes care of their vineyards and entirely hands off. So we have a little bit of everything. We have some others that like to do a little bit, and they do, but it's a mix. Little bit of everything. Yeah, we when we pick up a client that he wants to be part of his operation, we don't say no. We just got to make sure that everything is clear, so the next day that something is not done, it's draw. It wasn't. It's either on our side or that it's part of his responsibility. So when it's not done, we know who it's not doing it. That way we're not, oh, I thought you were going to do it. No, we thought you were going to do it. No, it's all clear. Just so we don't get into details. But yeah, there's some clients that are having all kinds of fun on the tractor and going up and down, and some others they much rather not do it. So you get a little bit of everything.
You mentioned that both here and at ABS, part of the draw for you was kind of building your own crews, hiring your own people, and overseeing. I'm curious, as you're building a crew, what are you looking for? How are you putting it together? Who are the people you're looking for, and kind of what are your expectations of them?
It's when you're building your crew, you're looking for a strong leadership. There's always a leader, and that's what you're looking for, because it's you'll know that it's gonna work. And a strong leadership doesn't mean that people is bad with people. It's just that it's clear. We're doing this here, and everybody follows. So that's one of the main things. That's for the crews. When you're looking for an operator, it's a person that is going to be a lot of the time by himself, by herself, and so you have to be able to sense that you can trust people, because out of the 16 operators that I have, it will be so difficult to make it to every single of them on a day. I won't be able to do it, and so I wanted to make sure that one, he knows how to do the job, and if he doesn't, we have new people. We have new people that has the desire that, and that's what I come back. That if I have somebody raising a hand, I'll grab it right away, because I raised my hand multiple times and nobody grabbed me until later. But that's the kind of people that you want to grab, and that's the kind of people that you give them the tools, and most likely they're gonna succeed. And share your knowledge. I told my coworkers that I share everything I know. It won't bother me that one day one of my coworkers is the one that gives me the order. Means that he had it, or she had it. We've done, I've worked, right now we're working with, and the opportunities are equally for everybody. Right now I'm working with a new operator. It's a she. She wants to do it. We're willing to train her. New operators that they come from restaurant, from construction, they want to do it. We're willing to train them. And that's where you can get some top-notch people. When you're willing to invest the time. And so you look for responsible people, for people that is on site every day, for people that is willing to work. For what we do, there's a part of the year where the more that you do, the better, because you can be at the next vineyard the next day. And so if you have volunteers that they want to work an extra hour, an extra 2 hours, one, they make a little bit more money. Two, we can be on the next vineyard the next day, and 3, everybody's happy. And so it works just properly. Yeah.
One of the things that's come up in a lot of our interviews recently has been sort of a concern over the sort of future of labor, of having enough labor, having enough skilled labor. I'm curious, in your experiences, what are you seeing in terms of the labor force in Oregon wine, and does it concern you?
Yes, and I think we've seen it, and that's why more vineyards are going to the mechanization. More vineyards are using machines to harvest, for example. So the industry is evolving positive, because not I don't know how many machines in how many vineyards we can put machines through, because there are some vineyards that you're not gonna be able to put a harvester through. But if we can put a harvester through some of the vineyards that are friendly, that are not too steep, that are not too side of the hill, I think that the industry in itself, it's kind of regulating himself with more acceptance to mechanical. Right now we're running more harvesters. We're in the past we used to hedge vineyards by hand. Now we're all mechanical. In the past we used to pull leaves entirely by hand. Now more people it's doing it mechanically, and we use a combination for the same reason. For some areas that we're not able to put machines through, we have people, but we don't at that period of time you don't need all the hands that you would need if you don't have machines. So I think as we're working in that direction, and the labor, we seen it has decreased. So good thing that we are the people vineyard owners are taking in more of the mechanical aspect of the vineyard growing industry, because I think it'll help. It'll help. If we're waiting for the crew to do certain blocks by hand and we don't get the crew, we can put the machine through. And so, yeah. And we've been equipping ourselves with more equipment because for the very same reason. So more mechanization.
Something you mentioned earlier, you're talking about the opportunities that there are now that weren't when you came in. There were not opportunities. Tell me about some of the evolution of opportunities that you've seen for vineyard workers and for people who kind of came in like you did, and how it's different now if you're coming in.
I can give you a couple samples here with me personally. Ever since I had the chance to work with people and build my own crews and hire my own people, I worked with for 4 years. I worked with my assistant. Daniel Barajas is his name. He also works with Results Partners. He picked it up really well. He kept asking questions, and I kept giving him more information. And on my mind, I was working with him, kind of prepping him for the next opportunity. He showed that he wanted to do it. When the next opportunity came, he was ready to go. And now he's taking care of another region for RP. So he's managing one of our regions. So that makes me feel good. And then I had a supervisor who I used to work with when we were working at ABS. He always had the desire, and he was always asking the right question. And so it's a sign. When you get someone, that's another sign when people is asking the right question and wants to know, why are we doing this? Yeah? Am I make someone mad because why I have to give an explanation? But when you have that kind of people, why are we doing this? Why we do that? Why do we that different? Why we take so many leaves? Why we put it this way? It's the person that you wanna feed a little bit more, little bit more, little bit more. So as soon as we transferred Daniel Barajas to his new role, I needed an assistant. I needed a right-hand person. And Juan Mendoza was the next guy. So I asked him, hey Juan, so this is a plan. Just so you know, you've shown some interesting things. What do you think if we do this? He was happy and scared. He's like, well, I like it. But what if I don't know? I'm like, well, if you don't know, I'll be there to help. If you and I don't know, we can always get a hold of our senior manager and we can make it work. It's just if you want to. I don't want to force you, but this is an opportunity that is going to be available. Think about it and let me know what do you think. Took it. He helped me last year. His second year, and he's done great. So yeah, as soon as you have the person that it's showing signs of wanting to grow, I believe we should do something. You should do something, because if you don't do it and that person ends up leaving, somebody else is gonna take advantage of that. And why not keep it in house? I think that's when you have good chance to make loyal people. When you give them just what is needed, not too much, so you can keep giving more as we're going. You build that sentiment of loyalty, and when you have that, you not only stay, but you invite more people in. So that works perfect, and that's all you have to do. I don't know what book I was reading, but I was reading that a company, succeed of a company. It's made of people that is willing to. Succeed of a company is made of people that is willing to stick around and is willing to learn and to put in practice. So yeah. And more people that we've that I personally have brought up, and again, it's just because of the opportunity I was given. I think that if more of us were willing to do this kind of stuff, we would have more people in the industry, more faces in the industry. But it's never too late. And the industry is growing, so I think there's going to be more chances, more opportunities for people.
So you talked about the way the industry is changing, growing, obviously right now. What else about it is different than when you first joined? What else has changed in Oregon wine? What does it look like now compared to what it looked like when you started?
Well, right now, the industry it's larger, but not too large. Everybody knows each other. I see more people out there at these programs that we now have, the symposium, where people gets to meet other people of the same industry. These are great things to have. I only maybe what we are missing is some kind of get together with the other layer. You know, you have the management, the other layer of main people that is part of the industry. I don't know, vineyard managers or supervisors, that layer. I think that if we were to have a program where not everybody, but a program that is available for whoever wants to be part of it, participate, so we can share ways to do better what we're doing here. I think there's room for improvement. But I don't know what that program will be and who will be willing to be part of it. But I think there's a lot of knowledge within the industry on some of the layers that probably left behind, us not the word, but that if they were to be exposed, we can pick up new ways of doing things. And perhaps to be more efficient on what we do, different ways of doing things that we already do. And for many years we think that we're doing it right, but probably somebody has an easier way to do it. I think we're missing that. Program specific that if I don't speak English, I can still communicate with the rest of the guys. A program that is, there's a lot of people, I know a lot of people that they don't speak English, but they're really smart people. In one of the barriers is that they cannot bring up what what they're thinking, brought up what they're thinking, and give that piece of information. I think that, I don't know if I'll see that, but I think that'll be something that somebody needs to start assembling and put together.
So I'm curious to hear about 2020 from your perspective. Obviously, dealing with multiple issues. So let's start with the pandemic and how that affected your work.
2020, 2020 is a year that is gonna be living with us forever. Sometimes I get asked, what do you think about this new year? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I just hope everything goes right. For what we do, Mother Nature plays a big role. A huge agriculture, anything agriculturally. You can do everything you want. You can prep, you name it. But Mother Nature is gonna come and kick our ribs. Or, nah. But it's gonna be either or. 2020 started at the beginning of the year being a normal year, but right at the beginning when COVID was discovered, a lot of us thought it was going to be something that was going to go away fast. It hasn't happened yet. So things started changing as we were going into the year. Then it got more serious. One of the hardest things at the beginning was to go in with the crews. And some of them are family, relatives. One of the hard things was to go at break time and lunchtime and tell, hey, spread out. We got to be 6 feet apart. When they used to put their food together and everybody was eating food from each other, a family type of thing. So it was hard for me to show up to the vineyard and ask them, hey, we got to do this because we have to follow protocol. It's for your safety, for my sake, for everybody's. We have to do it. And then the mask. Little by little, they started getting it. But it was one of the hardest things. Then the season progressed. We had enough people, luckily. No cases of COVID, but all of our crews.
Wow.
After watching the news, multiple cases here, several cases here, multiple cases on that packing place, and all over the places, all every day. And I have family at home, right? So it's a kind of, what's gonna happen today? Am I gonna bring it home, and am I gonna give it to somebody at work? Do I have it? Do I not? Who has it? What do I touch? What should I? It was bad. It's been bad for that. Then the year progressed. Luckily, we had enough people to do our work, and the blooming season came. Just when the bloom is happening, you want a dry weather, and bloom is going on, and you get this storm, this rain coming. It was bad. It was bad. Very little fruit on some cases almost nothing. And then we're working with what we already have, and the fires came, and I'm like, what else is gonna come our way? So it was a very difficult year. I don't recall seeing fruit not being picked. In 2020, there was blocks, vineyards, unpicked vineyards, and all of this fruit, quite a bit of the fruit that we picked made it to the wineries, but then after so long it didn't pass because it had so much smoke in there. It was bad. Bad. Yeah, it was a year that it's gonna be in our memories. Luckily, and this is, I told my coworkers, even with all of this unfortunate events, or I don't know what's the right word, we were able to have a job every day. Every single day we had a job on the wine growing, grape growing industry. Every day we had a job. There was a lot of people that didn't have a job. They got laid off. There's some people still struggling for a job. And we didn't miss a single day, except a couple of days due to the smoke. But every day we had a job. So everybody was able to generate income to bring food home. So that's another reason why I feel so lucky to be part of this industry. I didn't have to worry about it not having a job. Yeah, it's a day that we won't easily forget. Hopefully we don't get another one similar.
Tell me about handling the smoke with a crew of people who are working outdoors and have to be around it. How did you manage that?
We had some sites where it was thicker than others. And as much as we wanted to keep the people home, keep them from working, everybody needs to keep generating income. So I think we did it a day or 2 days, but everybody's like, well, we need the work. And so we kind of did it volunteer, and everybody showed up to work. There was a couple of days that we made them short, but everybody was on board. So we didn't force anybody. It was for the worst 3 or 4 days. It was volunteer. If you wanted to, you can. If you want to stay home, you can stay home. But everybody was at work, and so we just kept working. Yeah, it was amazing. For some part of the vineyards it was really thick, and then you came around the hills, and it was a little bit different. And as soon as the air started picking up, we were able to not have as thick as it was on the days that the air completely stalled, where it fell down. So, yeah, that was bad. I hope we don't see that again.
Yeah. So what's next for you? You've already tried to retire from grapes once and it didn't really take. So what's next as you look ahead for your future and for your work here at Results Partners?
What I see is that I'm at a great company. I'm at a company where, like I was telling you, has allowed me to help other people come up. I think I'll be around helping more people coming up. And I don't have plans to retire from grapes here. So, especially, you know, it's doing what you like to do. It's a beautiful thing. Doing what you like to do and having the opportunity to help others do something a little bit different, help them, guide them to something that they can do, and to make an impact, a positive impact on them. So one day they could also do the same thing. It's very satisfactory. I'm looking forward for every day. So I think I'll be able to help more people. And for that, and for doing what I like to do, I'm getting paid to do something that I really enjoy. What's wrong with that? Right? It's like, wow, I'm getting paid for doing what I like to do. I never thought I could be there. And helping others, even better. So I have no plans for retirement. I think the third sign was what I needed. And so I got it. Man, I'm so lucky. So just have to go and do what you need to do and make sure that's done properly, respecting everybody, and trying to help whoever it's raising its hand. Yeah.
I like it. Well, that's all the questions that I have for you. Is there anything I didn't ask that I should have? Anything we didn't cover here today that we should have covered?
No, I think we covered everything. This has been a fun. Something that happened with Results Partners when I first joined Results Partners. There's a vineyard called Caravella in the Wilsonville area. That vineyard, you can see the top of the vineyard from the Wilsonville Road coming out of Wilsonville and on your way to New York. There's a part of the road that you can see the vineyard to the top. Many years ago, when I noticed that flat spot on top of the hill, I always thought it was a vineyard. And I always said, one day I'm gonna go visit that vineyard. One day I'm gonna go visit that vineyard to see if it's a vineyard, I'm gonna look for work there. 'Cause it looked beautiful from the bottom. Next thing I know, when I was hired by Results Partners, that's one of the vineyards that I went and visit with Daniel Fay. In looking from the flattest part of the vineyard down, I noticed the road, and I'm like, that must be Wilsonville Road. So I asked Daniel, that's Wilsonville Road, right? He's like, yeah, that's Wilsonville Road. You're not going to believe this, Daniel, but many years ago, I wanted to be on this spot here. Wow. By driving on that road, I thought this was a vineyard, and I said that one day I wanted to go to that vineyard. I never thought I was going to take care of this vineyard. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Pretty cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Good things. So, yeah, no, I'm happy as can be.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time today, for your stories, for your thoughts.
No, thank you very much for reaching out, and it's my pleasure to share my story. It's nothing but a story of an individual that was hungry of doing something different. And after a few obstacles, I think I'm getting there. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
Very nice to meet both of you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. So thank you so much. We're going to let you off the hook.